Welcome to Divine Truth, my series speaking with others around the world as they tell their stories of pre-birth memories and near-death out-of-body experiences. Prepare to be amazed and inspired as I explore their true, incredible journeys. Oh, wow. Welcome, everyone, to the Divine Truth series. And today, my guest is Stephanie Getz. Stephanie Getz is going to be telling about her journey of illness to awakening. I'm already getting chills. So, Stephanie, what I would like for you to do, if you don't mind, if you feel comfortable, is starting giving the viewers a little bit of background about yourself, where you grew up, what did you do when you went to school, and then your work experience, things like that. And then just lead on. We'll just let spirit guide us.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Hi, Laura. Hi, Marcia. So I grew up in Indiana, Southeast Indiana, on a dead-end gravel road. I've lived on the same road my whole life. Very small towns. Like, I don't even have a town. I went to grade school not too far from home, and then I went to Brookville, Indiana High School. That no longer exists. It's haunted, though, as haunted as could be. And hello, Jennifer. And then I had to go to Miami, Oxford. I just had to go to Miami, Oxford. I did show horses, though. I trained and showed horses professionally. Hey, Joy. And so I was in 4-H and all that stuff, and I professionally showed and trained horses. I love animals. I mean, I learned how to ride and talk to a horse before I could walk. So, and then as soon as I could talk, I want a pony from the time I got up and a white pony. But yeah, so I finally got my white pony. But and so then after I went to college, I did get into Miami of Ohio, but it was hard because I was out of state. So I did get in. I hated every second of it. I couldn't live there on campus because I had to work 2 jobs, and I was riding horses 4 hours a day. Okay. So it was hard. So I didn't live there, so I never really met anybody. Plus, Joy and I used to go there, who's on here. We used to go there when we were younger. So we would party in Oxford. It wasn't new to me. It was old school, So I lasted about 2.5 years and decided that it was a waste of money and time, and I needed to figure out what I really wanted to be. I was taking systems analysis, which is computers.
Okay.
I was good at it, but I'm not one to be behind the desk. I couldn't be that. So, hi, Sue. So anyway, I quit after 2.5 years, and I went out and got some jobs. I worked at a roofing company, home improvement store. Yes, I can put a roof on, but I was in there getting the teams out, etc. I worked at a bank. I did lots of different things. And then I became a Bengal cheerleader. So in Brookville, because I was an outsider, I wasn't from Brookville. I was from an outlying school. I never made the cheerleading squad. And we're talking a very small town, very small school. So it wasn't like there was an overabundance of people. I just wasn't local. And, but I did make the dance team. And so I thought, well, I'm going to show them. And I went out and made Bengal cheerleading, which was crazy.
Woohoo! That's awesome.
Yeah. So there was 800 other girls the year I tried out, and there was 4 spots, and I got one of them. I have no idea how. I knew nobody there. I was scared to death.
That's amazing. 4 spots.
Thank you, Joy. Yeah, 4 spots. So I would say that I've worked very hard for everything that I've ever gotten or done. I've not just, nothing's ever been handed to me. My birthday's Halloween, so I've always liked the spooky stuff. Joy and I would go, we played the Ouija board almost every night. She lived across from the high school. There was a lot of satanic worshipers back then around, and her dad used to know where they were, and we'd sneak out and follow him, and he caught us every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. My advanced comp teacher was awesome, and he gave me a book of spells. So I was known as the witch, and back then I didn't even know what that really meant. So I cheerleaded for a while, and you had to have a full-time job. Hey, Drew.
Hey,
And
well,
and my first real job downtown after cheerleading, my first real job downtown Cincinnati was at a law firm. And it was answering the phone and type, like you had to wear headsets and type what you were hearing, or they would handwrite it, and lawyers write horribly. I didn't know all the lingo, so it was really hard for me. So I felt stupid. Like there's nothing I can't do, but I could not type what I was hearing because I didn't know the lingo. I didn't even know how to spell some of the words. I felt and then the phone would ring as soon as I'd start getting, ugh. So I think I was there a very, very short time. And one of the girls that I had cheered with that I was still friends with, she said, my sister works at a marketing company about a block from you, and they're looking for like a marketing assistant or something. Well, I don't have any training in that, but I said, sure, so I sent my resume over to her. So I met her sister. And while I was sitting in the lobby waiting for my interview, one of the other cheerleaders that I didn't know was a designer there walked up the stairs and saw me. So she put a good word in for me, and I got the job.
nice.
So that was my first job, like real job downtown that I liked. So I was in marketing. I helped with, branding and that kind of stuff, but I really liked the design side that was on the other side of the building. And so I finally got over there. They had a hostile takeover from the owners and whatnot. So I ended up being laid off because they still considered me one of the marketing people. So I was one of the ones laid off, if you will. I got another job at another firm and several jobs at several firms. And I finally landed at RGI, and I loved it there. I was there for 12 years. I left for a year and came back, but I worked 24/7. I traveled a lot. I worked a lot. I was a marketing director at some point. I was managing package design, logos, branding, all of that stuff for companies like Dole Fresh Vegetables and Fruits and Kroger, all the signage you see in Kroger and all that kind of thing. And I was making a lot of money. And I got to go to every concert, every baseball game, every football game, VIP seats. I went to the Super Bowl. I went to everything. You name it, I went to it. I ate at the finest restaurants, but I had no friends outside of work because I didn't have time. I never got married. I didn't have kids. So at Life is Harsh on the Long. Yes, it is, Drew. Absolutely. I do love marketing. So when I turned 40, I was already burnt out. And I knew this isn't what I wanted to be when I grew up. And what I realized was I was so stressed out most of the time that I was so stressed out about stupid stuff. And then finally I realized I'm not inspiring anybody. I am not touching anybody's life in a positive way, in an inspirational way. All I'm doing is worrying about that a coupon code didn't get printed right. Nobody's going to die. Nobody's going to live from that. Nobody cares except the client and me, right?
Right.
So I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Well, because I didn't get married and have kids, my house was paid off. I bought my cars cash. Actually, I had a company car, all of this stuff. So I didn't have bills or anything. I didn't spend money on anything because I was always working. But I didn't want to give up the money.
Yeah.
I was still in that mindset. So I thought, well, I'll volunteer. Love puppies. I want to play with puppies. I'll volunteer. So I volunteered at Circle Tail, and Circle Tail is 81 miles one way from my house. So playing with puppies really wasn't it, but they wanted my marketing expertise. But what they do is they rescue puppies that they think they can make into service animals. And then so they're a no kill. So I knew I'd be okay. I knew I didn't have to take everyone home with me. And if they didn't make the cut into a service dog, then they would just adopt them out at a higher price because they were already well trained. They use the prisons around the area to help, so the prisoners would help train them. So they help the prisoners to have a purpose. And then they would give the dog for free to the person that needed it. So back then, a service dog would cost about 15 grand for all the training, et cetera. So they were giving that dog for free. So I was helping them, and it still wasn't enough. And I was still burnt out, and I still didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And on my 40th birthday, Carrie Ann and I went to Sedona, Arizona, to a spa, Miami Spa in Sedona, Arizona. And we met. I was at this point feeling like I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to get married and have kids, go to college, get a job, all that stuff. And I didn't do any of that right. So I was feeling like even though I was very successful, I completely failed in my mind. And we met all of these 8 amazing women from around the United States. They worked at Boeing. They were astrophysicists. They were beautiful, never been married, didn't have kids, about the same age as us. And then I realized I wasn't the minority. And that was a huge eye-opener to me. But I still wasn't ready to give up the money. So I got my first mammogram, and they think they see something on the left side. Well, they called me back for another mammogram, and then they cleared me. So then my second mammogram, they see something. And they decided so at 42, I had breast cancer. And I was the healthiest person I knew. And
so, point, can I stop you right there, Stephanie? At that point, what was because this may help someone, the initial shock to your system when you heard this news? How did you feel? What kind of thoughts, mentally, emotionally, what was going on?
Well, first of all, I would say, to help other people as well, they didn't find it in my mammogram. Actually, I had my second mammogram. They didn't find anything, to be honest. So I should back up. I was working out with a trainer. I was in the best shape that I'd ever been in my entire life, like in the best shape I'd ever been. And so I was getting ready for work one day, and I was adjusting in my bra. You know how you do pull into the bra. And I felt this big lump in my left breast, which is what they saw in the beginning. So they could have caught it 2 years prior, and they didn't. And I didn't know. It doesn't run in my family. I'm healthy. I don't even go to a regular doctor. I don't even have one. Mm-hmm. So I felt this side to see, is it a muscle? Like, what's the deal? And of course it wasn't on the side. There's no muscles in that area. So I didn't even know what to do. So I called my OB/GYN and made an appointment, and I got in to see another lady, and she says, exact words, "Wowzers, that's big. That's really medical there, honey." So she said, "But it doesn't seem to be attached. I think it's okay. But I want you to," she handed me a paper, a list of these breast specialists, make an appointment with one of these breast specialists. So I went out to my car, and the very first one, I think, was Dr. Runk, and she was at Good Sam, which is where I got my mammogram. So I thought, well, I'll just make it easy. I'll go where I get my mammogram. So I called her office, and they said I had to first get them the CD or whatever of my mammograms. I said, but I come to you. You should have them already. I come to them. Mm-hmm. And so they kept arguing with me. At this point, I'm beside myself. So I start crying. I go back into the office, and then they called and they got me the appointment. I forget how long. I want to say it was maybe a week before I had the appointment with the breast specialist. And it was one of the longest weeks because, you're wondering, and you keep feeling this thing, and you keep wondering, and now you can't not feel it. So I'm trying to read the comments as well. So I went, and it was a 3:30 appointment in the afternoon. It wasn't far from my office. I went by myself. So I go in, and the first thing I told everybody, they're just going to do a mammogram. They're just going to look at it again, whatever. So I went in and got my mammogram, and they had me sit out in the little room, and they came back and said, we need another look, did another one, sat out in the room. Then they come back and get me, and they said, we need to do an ultrasound. So I'm laying on the table for my first ever ultrasound by myself, thinking this isn't good. And I'm here by myself. So I'm starting to panic a little bit. So she does the ultrasound, and then they take me to meet the breast specialist. So I'm sitting in the room waiting for her, and she comes in and she shakes my hand. Hi, my name is Dr. Runk, and I'm 99% sure you have breast cancer. Hand me a box of tissues. That's exactly how she told me. Terry, you're okay. I tell this story because I want people to know you have to be your own advocate. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. So I looked at her, I said, what are you talking about? You're out of your mind. I do not have breast cancer. So that was my first initial reaction. I don't have breast cancer. You're crazy. Okay. I'm the healthiest. I had just had a physical for a life insurance account to hide all the money I was making. And they told me I was the healthiest person they'd ever screened. That I got the lowest premium that they'd ever given out.
So you were at a kind of like in denial. It was like, no way, this isn't happening to me. This can't happen to me. I'm way too healthy. I eat right. I exercise right. I do all these things that we're taught.
Right. That doesn't run in my family. Like I checked none of those boxes. So she says, I want to physically examine you, but I'm going to want to do a needle biopsy tonight. And I said, but I'm here by myself. And she goes, it doesn't hurt. It wasn't about it hurting. I'm a tough girl. It's about the fact that I was there all by my freaking self. Yeah. And she's telling me that I have breast cancer. And so now I'm going to cry, so she does the needle biopsy and all whatever. And she says, okay, get dressed and I'll show you what I'm seeing on the screen. So I go in and I see, and she shows me all this calcification and all this different stuff. And so at this point, it's 5:30 and I go out and I'm like, how am I going to drive? I don't even know where my car is. Like, I don't even know how I got here. I don't know at this point who I am. I don't know. So I go out to the lobby, and my now ex, my boyfriend at the time, somehow found me and was there in the lobby. And so she had walked me out, and I, immediately went over and said, how did you find me? And then she doesn't even ask who he is. She starts telling him everything. And I'm like, you don't even know who he is. Right. My HIPAA, whatever. Yeah. So anyway, she goes back in, and then we decide, he doesn't know where his car is now. So we decide we're going to find his car, and he wanted to know what I wanted to do. And I said, I'm going to go to Bakersfield and I want a flight of tequila. I don't know how else I need to numb my thoughts right now. So we found his truck. We went to Bakersfield, which was right down the hill, and I got a flight of tequila. And so that was on a Thursday night. She said she would have the results of the biopsy. Hopefully, I wasn't even sure if she told me. So on Friday, I called. I guess I drove home. I drove home at some point. And on Friday, when I went to work, I called and I said, when are you going to have the results? I don't know how this works. And so the girl said she'll either have them today or Monday. She usually makes her calls after hours, like in the evening. And I said, okay. I had to go all weekend without knowing. So that's even worse than before waiting for the doctor. Mm-hmm. So Monday gets here. I don't hear anything. My boyfriend at the time takes me to dinner at a really nice restaurant in a really nice hoity-toity area. And I'm beside myself because I still haven't gotten a phone call. I've drank a whole bottle of wine. I sound like an alcoholic at this point. And so I'm already upset, and he's trying to get the bill. And I knew it was 7:24 on, I believe, June 26th, 7:24 p.m. that I got the call from her. And the first thing she said was, "It's Dr. Runk. It's not a surprise. You have invasive breast cancer."
Okay, so stop right there. So when you heard that, so you're in a restaurant, right? Other people around. When you heard that, was it, what were the actual feelings at the emotions? I mean, were you at the least bit worried about what other people would see of your expressions or what you said or anything else?
Everything went black around me.
Okay.
I somehow made an appointment with her the next evening
Uh-huh.
after hours. I don't even remember like writing down the address or I don't remember any of that. I was bawling. The server, I guess, thought he and I were fighting, so they wouldn't even bring our check. I wrote it down. I hung up with her and I went to the bathroom and locked myself in the bath. Like nobody could get into the bathroom. And I sat down on the floor of the freaking bathroom in a skirt and just bawled. And I tried to call Carrie Ann at the time and she didn't answer. So I just left a message and then I just sat there. And finally, people are trying to get in the bathroom. So I finally got up and Mark had paid the bill. And so I saw him outside looking for me. He didn't know I went in the bathroom. So I saw him outside. So I went out. I gathered myself together. We're crossing the road. And he says, "Okay, so tell me what she said." And I said, "I have invasive breast cancer." And with that, I collapsed on the ground bawling. And people are walking over me. They don't even care.
Oh.
They don't know what's happening. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, but it might. And I said, "She said invasive to me. Like my whole body has it at this point."
Yeah.
So we got over to the parking lot and I had met him there. So both of our vehicles there. And, I had my computer and everything in the car. Cause of course, I work all night and all that stuff. So at that point, Carrie Ann called. He gets me to the truck and he's going to drive me. We decided he's driving me home and to help me tell my parents. And then Carrie Ann calls. And so now I'm sitting in the parking lot on the ground again, like breaking down all over the place. So I finally get off the phone with her and I get in the truck and we get to my parents and he helped me tell my parents what she said. And then they needed to go to an appointment with me the next day. And then my sister and her husband went back and got my car because I had my computer and everything in it.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was very upset with me that I did not want her to spend the night with me or whatever. I just needed to process things and I needed to be by myself. And
Sure.
the way I process things is I have to get them out of my head and on paper, kind of. So I came home and I wrote an email to the entire company that I worked for, which I don't remember back then, 30 to 40 people, something like that, family owned. I kind of grew up there. Wrote an email to the entire company letting them know what was going on and that I wasn't going to be in work the next day. And so we went the next day and met with my breast specialist, and she was very good at drawing it all out, but it was ductal. So even though it was invasive, it was confined to a milk duct, I guess, or whatever.
Okay.
So then she says, well, she recommended, because it was large, that I do chemo first. And then if I have to have surgery, and then radiation if I had to have radiation. So at this point, she was telling me it was stage 2A based off of what she saw in the pathology.
Now,
so now,
do you mind to stop there and explain to the viewers, what does that mean?
So you have stages 1 through 4, and then they break them down to A, B, I think. I don't think there's a C. So stage 4 is the worst. When you get to stage 4, it's metastasized, which means they can't fully put it in remission. And I want to say something. You are never cancer-free. You and I sitting here right now, we are not cancer-free. You are never cancer-free. And I wish people would stop saying, so you're cancer-free. No, I'm not cancer-free. I'm in remission.
Right.
Yeah, that bothers me when somebody says, "Oh, I'm cancer." No, you're not. None of us are cancer free.
Exactly. We all have cancerous cells within our bodies. All of us. That's how the human body is.
I agree, Terry. I agree. Exactly. So, so at that point, now I have to choose an oncologist. How do you choose an oncologist? Like, I don't, there, it isn't like, there's just a phone book and you say, give me the best. And back then things were different. Google wasn't, and like, it wasn't like it is now. And so now I've got to try to figure out. So I somehow I researched it and whatnot, and I had some people, some doctors, oncologists that were recommended to me, and I narrowed it down to 4 or 5 of them. And so I went back to my breast specialist and I said, I've narrowed it down to these. And I said, which one do you work with? Because none of them were at Good Sam. And she chose Dr. Cody, and he was the top. He's like the top breast oncologist. Copper wants in. I'll be right back. Sorry. I got a fireplace too.
No problem. So anyone just coming on, we are with Stephanie Getz, and she is telling her incredible story. Right now she's telling the background, a little bit about herself, and she's leading into her story of cancer and how it actually helped inspire and encourage her into the awakening process. And it's very beautiful. So those of you who are on, I want you to know how much we love and appreciate you. Stephanie's story is absolutely incredible. Okay, Stephanie, go ahead.
So I chose Dr. Cody. I called him. He had great reviews. Hi, Mary. And so I made an appointment to go see him. And again, it was always after hours. Like, why do I have to be after hours? So they tell you to take somebody with you so that they can help take notes and stuff. Well, my dad's my dad. He's a dude. My mom was kind of not, her way of dealing with things is to just kind of sit there. And so she wasn't really absorbing any of it. And then she'd ask me questions. But the lady that did my paperwork before I saw the doctor, and this was at Christ Hospital, before I saw the doctor, the lady did my paperwork. She had the wildest white and red hair, and she looked like a rooster and all this. It was hilarious. Her name's Mary, and we are really good friends to this day. She came to my Halloween party. She's in my pictures. We're very good friends to this day. And she was amazing. And she was always the one that greeted me whenever I would get there for my appointments. And she knew who I was. I mean, she made me feel so good. So I went in to see Dr. Cody, and he said that I would have to do 16 chemo sessions. The first 4 were every other week because they're a lot tougher on you. And then the last 12 were every week. And so I always say, you know how we talk about words are real and be careful what you say. I always wanted Fridays off. Well, I got Fridays off for chemo. So everything was within 5 minutes of my office, though, because I didn't take time off from work. I was off Fridays for my chemo. I was off for my mastectomy. And for radiation, I would come in at 7 a.m. I'd go up for radiation at 8, and I'd come back and work full day every single day.
Wow.
And I never got thanked for it. I never got anything for that.
Wow. That's
another story. So I meet with him and we decide I'm going to do chemos on Friday and whatever. So then I had to go get a port. I've never had a surgery before. I've never been in the hospital before. So I go get my port, and it left a pretty big scar and indentation. I don't know if you can see it. It's hard to see on camera, but other people say they've never seen anybody leave such an indentation like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have, and remember, I was in the best shape of my life. I didn't have any extra cushion. So that's why it did that indentation. So got my port. I went in, so I knew I was getting my port on Tuesday. I had my first chemo on Friday, and I was getting my head shaved on Monday or something. And they were like, I was dressed to the nines. I had my makeup on, my hair done when I went in there for my chemo, and I told them what I was doing, and I had a plan, and they were just like, okay, wow, like I had two choices. I either crawled in bed and cried, or I put my makeup on and my clothes on and I went and lived, fought for
Hmm.
my life.
Yes. Yes.
So my sister, now we were down to, and my thing was I had to make decisions and I couldn't second guess myself. I had to just block it all out. Everybody went, don't shave your head. What if it doesn't fall out? It's gonna fall out. I have my plan. So everybody was tired of, my sister and my mom were tired of telling everybody what was going on. So my sister, I'm very new to Facebook at that time. And she says, I'm going to create a Facebook page for you so that you can keep everybody updated. They don't have to be your friend on Facebook. You can so it's called Team Stephanie Getz. So I started posting on there, and that's the way I got it out of my head onto paper. It was
Nice.
so therapeutic for me. Every morning and every evening I posted. And that's when I started taking pictures as well. So I started my nature photography at that point. And I would post every morning. And on Fridays, I would post, what color do you guys want me to wear today? People made me hats and gave me scarves from all over. And I had all of these hats and scarves, and I had antique brooches, and I would decorate them up. And, I spent $1,000 on two wigs that I didn't really wear because and once you lose your eyebrows and your eyelashes and stuff, you look sick. There's nothing that you can do to make that go away.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, what color do you want me to wear today? And they would all vote, and that's what color I would wear. And then my mom would take my picture in the chemo chair and we would put it out there and whatever. So, yeah, I was inspiring them, but they were inspiring me to get up in the morning, because I knew if I didn't post by 9 o'clock in the morning, everybody would want to know where I was.
Oh, so you were surrounding yourself with encouraging people, which
Yes.
that is key.
Yes. Yes. So I met a person that was a friend of my sister's. No, a friend of my sister's. And she was just finishing hers. And so her name's Jennifer. And they said, this friend of my sister said, here's a link to this girl's page. You should hook up with her. And so we became really good friends. And she was my go-to if I had questions, because there are people out there that think they're helping you. But this one woman in New York told me, well, go out now, because you're going to be so ugly after chemo, you won't go out anymore.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't even think about losing my eyelashes and my eyebrows and stuff. And then I'm sitting in Big's parking lot bawling my head off because my cell phone only worked till there. So it was bad. So I learned to pick and choose my people.
Good.
The people at Christ were amazing. I was there on Fridays. They always did something fun on Fridays, tailgating parties, whatever. So I mean, having to do it, I guess I did have a good time while I was there, if that sounds really weird. But they asked me if I wanted to take part in a massage study. And because it was in the old days, it was taboo to get massages if you had cancer, because they thought it would move the cancer around in your body when you were manipulating the muscles and the energy.
Oh, very interesting. Okay.
And I've been getting deep tissue massages for my locked up shoulder for every 8 weeks since well before that. And so, thank you, Terry. And so I said, yeah, I want to be in that. Well, the best part about it was, what I didn't know is the therapist, she was just massaging from here to here, and then your calves and your feet during chemo. And so one week she would do it, the next week she wouldn't. And then they would ask you questions. Did it help? Pain, anxiety, blah, blah, blah. But what helped is the fact that Cheryl, the therapist, was a survivor. And so I had her for 15 minutes every week to ask her questions, because the doctors and the nurses won't tell you answers because they'll get sued or whatever. So and I'll tell you another thing, never Google anything. Do not Google it. Pick your doctor or whatever. Do not Go with a survivor, something. Do not Google, because it will just make you crazy.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So I got to know Cheryl, and I still go to her today for lymph drainage massage. So I'm still really good friends with a lot of people. What I've realized very quickly, yes, Terry, yes. What I realized, she's getting her all day chemo. Absolutely, Mary. Yep. What I realized very quickly is I had a connection to spirit, to God, a special connection. I wasn't afraid, but I knew I couldn't die yet because there was things that I didn't do that I was supposed to. I hadn't done my soul purpose yet. So anyway, I met I don't know what to call him. I don't even know what kind of church. He wasn't Catholic, so I'm not sure if I don't know if he's a priest or whatever he is. He went to school with my mom. And the first time he ever met me was after I was diagnosed. And he hugged me. He said, "Wow, you have a connection to God like no other." So I read the book by Lorna Byrne, Angels in My Hair. I recommend everybody read that book.
Yes, I love that book. It is absolutely amazing. It is so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Yes. So Lorna Byrne's, it's a book about herself. She never stopped talking to angels. All of us talk to angels and spirit when we're little, and then we're brainwashed into not believing after we get older. And then those of us that don't awaken still might not know. She didn't. And to the point where her family and everybody deemed her retarded because she was talking to something they couldn't see, until they realized her connection to God. And then everybody sought her to heal them and save them and all that stuff. And now I find myself, everybody coming to me, asking me to pray to God for them because of my connection with God.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I started to see things. I started to see angels. I would take pictures and my dog's eyes would glow like this yellow in the background, or my flowers would glow, and I knew an angel was there. Things started happening where oh my gosh, chemo brain is the worst. You can't remember anything. I would leave my purse places, my keys places. I'd lose my earrings, everything. I was constantly losing things, and spirit, my angels, would put it somewhere where they knew I was going to go to find it.
Oh.
Yeah. I also worked out with a trainer that was Methodist. He's a Black guy. And I still went to him twice a week, even though I could barely walk at the time. I would go to him twice a week because just my 30 minutes with him, because he was very spiritual and he would pray over me and he'd do holy water over me. And I didn't care that everybody else thought he was weird and thought, what is wrong with her? What is wrong with her? Like, it was weird, in a gym.
Yeah.
I didn't care, because every time I would start to talk negative, he would say, "Nope, we don't talk negative. We don't talk negative. You only talk positive."
I love that.
And he spoke God to me every time I went in there. And that's when my relationship with God got even stronger.
Oh, that's
in
beautiful.
here. Yep. And do you know, I am at least 3 earth angels during this journey. And one of them was him. He wasn't a person. He was a real live earth angel, because after I finished my treatments, he left the gym and nobody's seen him, but yet he'll call me once in a while or text me or whatever, but nobody, like, he's not a real person. The lady that I got my prosthetic from, she has passed, but she was an earth angel. She was not a person. So I started to realize that you don't know that you're talking to somebody that's an earth angel because they look just like us.
Right.
It's amazing. They are. So I do all my chemo. They keep telling, I mean, I'm like going to do everything by the book, everything that I can, you know, all of this stuff. And so they keep saying, oh my gosh, they're so excited. It's shrinking. Everything's great. And my breast specialist said we were going to do the chemo first in hopes that we would shrink it so that I could just have a lumpectomy. And that was all I had on my head. I want a lump. I don't want to have a mastectomy, whatever. So I get finished with my chemo treatments. I go back to see her again after hours by myself, whatever. And she walks in, she goes, so are we going to do 1 or 2? And I went, what? You're going to have a mastectomy. Are we going to do 1 or 2? I said, what are you talking about? They said the chemo worked. I'm having a lump. Oh, honey, you were never having a lumpectomy. I forgot to tell you that by the time they did all the measurements and did all these things, I was stage 3B. So I was as close to being stage 4 as you can get. Yeah. That was hard to swallow.
Okay.
So I just looked at her and I'm like, well, I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. It was only in my left side. Why would I have the other side? And blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, you know, you'll just have reconstruction and all this stuff. And I'm like, shouldn't I see a plastic surgeon first? No, you don't need to see a plastic. Yeah, I do. And I need to talk to my oncologist. This isn't cut and dry.
Right.
So I asked my oncologist and he said he does not believe in removing body parts that there's nothing wrong with. I then went and saw the best breast reconstructive surgeon in Cincinnati that does work with my doctor. And so she recommended that I only have the one side done. So that's what we did. And I was so worried because you hear all these horror stories about how they go in and do the surgery and it was worse and they found it in your lymph nodes and now you got to have all this other stuff done. So yes. I wake up and I still have that same breast specialist and she's mad that there's too many people there. My boyfriend, Carrie Ann, was in from California, another friend, my parents. There's too many people here. Get over it. I'm loved and supported. Get over yourself.
Right.
So, my mom's bawling when I wake up and I'm like, what is happening? She can't talk. And I said, somebody get me somebody that can tell me that I'm okay. And so finally they were like, yeah, everything's good. They found a little bit in one of the lymph nodes that they took, but it's not in the sentinel lymph node. The sentinel lymph node is what is like the one that pushes all of the lymph liquid out. So, but because they found a little bit, I still had to have radiation, unfortunately. Another bad news. So I have a month off. So I finished my chemo the day after Thanksgiving. I have a month off. I have my mastectomy on the 21st of December. Yeah. Then I have a month off and then I start radiation for 25 straight days. In the meantime, I go to I was mowing grass. And my grandpa passed away in, I believe, the year 2000. And I was mowing my grass and I went past the back porch over here and I saw him on the porch. And I thought, okay, well, I'm already past, so I'll get him on the way back around. And so I looked forward again. I thought, Grandpa died. And I looked back and of course he was gone. So then I was in the car after a holiday party coming home from downtown and I was meeting my parents in Harrison for another party and they were all worried about me. And I looked in my rearview mirror and Grandpa was sitting in my back seat. And then I just smiled and I looked down and I looked back and of course he, was not there. He could make his appearances. He died on November 1st, the day after my birthday, All Saints Day, when he died. And his rose that he gave me, that he grafted for me out of his roses, it was yellow and I wanted it to be Tropicana Peach. And I would never say a word to him about it. On November 1st, it blooms Tropicana Peach. So yeah, he comes back and his rose blooms for me the right color, but it's yellow the rest of the year. Yeah.
Wow, that is so amazing.
Yep. So I do my radiation. I go back to see the plastic surgeon and she takes me in her office and she says, I'm really sorry, but you're not a candidate for normal reconstruction because of the radiation I had. They radiated me from here all the way down and all on my back.
Oh.
and my skin was ruined. It wouldn't expand enough. So blow number 3.
So you
My
had lost elasticity of your skin basically, and there was just no surgical procedure that you could withstand that would.
right.
Mm.
And my radiation oncologist was amazing. Dr. Levine, she was this little spitfire, wore the coolest clothes and stuff. And she does a lot of research on how to save your skin. But even with using the shea butter and the castor oil and all that stuff, it kept me from burning, but it didn't keep my skin from being where. So they said what they'd have to do is cut a muscle in the middle of my back and tunnel it through,
Uh-huh.
or muscle in my, one of my abs and tunnel it through, because they can't cut it completely and move it because it'll die. And I was like, no, I'm done. I don't want to. I'm over hospitals. I'm over doctors. I don't want to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted my port out. I hated that port. And I knew if my oncologist said I could have it out, then he felt that it wasn't going to come back. And I was ready for a fight. And so I went in and I said, can I get my port out at our last meeting? He goes, I don't see why not. And I was like, and he said, I want to tell you that we did not think that you were going to survive. They did not think that I was going to survive. That's how bad it was. And they never told me. So that was hard. That was hard. I'm glad they didn't tell me, because I knew I was going to survive, but I'm glad they didn't tell me that they thought I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. So he said I could get my port out. Well, this breast specialist didn't want to take my port out. She wanted to wait for reconstruction. Oh, yeah, you're going to have reconstruction down the road. What?
I just heard someone say, hi. Did you guys hear that? Did you hear someone say, hi? Yeah. Yeah. There's someone here with you, Stephanie.
I didn't hear it, but I've got chills.
Yes, there is someone here with you. Where are we at? 46:59. So probably somewhere around 45.
Yeah.
And maybe possibly a little bit after. So we'll have to go back and check that. Bluegrass Paranormal, Marcia, you heard it. Yeah, it was loud. Yeah.
I'm writing it down.
So and the thing is, I heard it, so it came from your end, from your mic. So there's definitely someone there with you that you have said is an earth angel.
Oh,
yeah. I have chills too. This is beautiful. Yeah. They're helping you with your story. This is beautiful.
I love it. I love it. It could be, Jennifer, it very well could be my grandpa. So remember, I didn't take off any work. The daughter took over the company. She at one point told me I had to stop talking about my cancer, that she got complaints. I never even came out of my office. She wouldn't let me work from home when I started to burn a little bit, the end of radiation. She said I had to take sick days, but I was saving my sick days for my reconstruction that I thought I was still having. And everybody else was allowed to work from home but me. So then I fired my breast specialist and hired a new one. She took my port out. I said, I didn't even see what it looks like. Can I have it? She was like, sure. And so she gave it to me in a little bloody, still in a little thing. And I still have it.
Oh,
I have the foil thing they put on my head for my surgery. We put that on the tree for a star.
Oh, Stephanie.
So I knew I needed to leave the company. So I left the company. I went to another company. Not once. So they always check your blood levels during all your treatments to make sure that you're okay, that, and all this stuff. And so my blood levels were already always right in the middle, right where they needed to be. I was not going to pass go. I mean, it was going to go exactly the way it was supposed to. Right.
Yeah.
And so I started a new job. I am in a different city 3 times a week. I don't even know where I'm waking up. I'm so stressed out. All I'm getting is yelled at. It's a program that the Kroger divisions didn't want. They all knew me. They all loved me, but they didn't like my program. So I'm getting ready to board a plane, and I had done my labs, and I got a call from the nurse navigator that wasn't there when I was in my treatment. And she says, we need to talk. And I said, well, I'm actually boarding a plane. Can I call you back? So I called her back, and she said, Dr. Cody, my oncologist, said, if you don't make some changes in your life, your cancer is going to come back, and this time you're going to die.
Oh my goodness.
Your labs were bad. And I was so stressed out. So when I was talking to her, I was in Atlanta. I wasn't even home. Wrote my resignation letter while I was there. They don't, Joy. You are correct. So I wrote my resignation letter, and instead of going home when I got back to Cincinnati the next day, I went into the office and handed in my resignation. And that's when I decided I was done with corporate America. And that was when my awakening had already started, but I was so, surviving that I didn't really, focus on that as much. And so I started really focusing on that. I started a blog. I still have the same page. It's just called Through the Eyes of a Survivor now. I had a website that was a blog for a while, which is a lot of work. And so then I went back to this. I actually became the marketing director for Pink Ribbon Girls, a local nonprofit that provides food, meals, transportation, and house cleaning for free to women and men with reproductive cancers. And I thought, I thought that was my purpose. I mean, how could that not be more purposeful to help people that, what I went through was awful. I had so many people, unfortunately, that I know coming to me. But there were strangers coming to me now. And so my first mammogram after all this happened, I went in and I was bawling. And my new breast specialist said, you're suffering from compassion fatigue. So
and that's the thing, because I mean, many of us can speak for ourselves, when we get into this mode of where we've been through something huge in our lives, some kind of trauma, whether it's emotional or physical, where, we feel like once we begin healing from that, we want to help other people. But sometimes it's kind of like our brain wants to step ahead of what our body is ready to do at that time.
Yeah. I was marketing director of one, and I was the board and founder of another, women under 40, diagnosed under 40. And it was a very loud female high.
Mary T went back and listened. Very loud female high. Right before you say so, he said, I could get my port out. Okay, so right before you said that, yes.
Well, I'm here alone except Copper. There's no females here. Okay, Mary, we'll go back and check it out. Thank you.
I thought it sounded female as well.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, I'm not sure, but it just makes me wonder if it's the female that you say was your earth angel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary.
Yep. So I hated the color pink. I still do. And I had to step down from both of those positions. And so I did do other things. I was a spokesperson for Dole. I flew around. I was doing morning show segments. I was the talent doing the morning show segments. So it was a lot less stress because, I can't do camera at all. I do have a little snippet of those on my channel if you want to go back and see when I was on TV and famous. But then I started, so then one day, this is how spirit works. This is how God works. One day up until this point, I do not do crowds. I cannot do crowds. I'm claustrophobic. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So I choose to not do it. So one day, I do very little on YouTube. I had a channel, my personal channel, and I think I had one video of a talk. So I was asked to speak at a lot of cancer engagements and do inspirational speaking, which I did like doing that. I did do that. So there was a couple of those videos on there. And so oh my gosh, my train of thought just went. What was I talking about?
So you were talking about like, like what you were, in other words, like when you were no longer with the corporate mindset, the things that you were doing, you had been on TV when you were famous, before, and now moving
Oh,
away from that
yeah.
empty crowds.
Yeah, that's what it was. So YouTube, the only thing I did was put that one video up there, and the only thing I watched was Jessica Smith TV. I don't think she really does it anymore, but she had a YouTube channel, and she had all of these different exercise videos that you could do with little to no equipment, even in a hotel room. So when I was traveling, that's what I would do. All of a sudden, I start getting these recommendation emails from YouTube. I don't even have the app on my phone or anything. And it says, the 10 signs that you're an empath. I didn't even know what an empath was. I hadn't looked it up. So for some reason, here I am clicking on it. So I click on it and I'm like, I check all the boxes. I'm an empath. That I'm not claustrophobic. Well, I might be claustrophobic, but I can't be in crowds because I don't know that I'm absorbing everybody's energy.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the next stage and phase of my awakening, was realizing that I'm an empath. So by this time, my now ex was so horrible to me. And the next video that I got recommended to me was the 10 signs the person is a narcissist. So I watched that. He checked 9 of the 10 boxes. So now I realize I'm an empath and I had been with this narcissist for 9 years. And I learned what gaslighting was. I learned what a narcissist was. I learned what I was. And I was like, it's not my fault. I'm not crazy. He treated me so horribly because they're master manipulators and it's not your fault. Like I kept thinking, well, I'm a strong person. How could I let him treat me like that? Like, what is wrong with me? And why did he do that to me? Why was he my knight in shining armor one day and then treating me so horribly the next day? And so I was in therapy. Like I literally went to therapy. I wanted to die. I at one point he was treating me so bad. I asked God to bring the cancer back so I could die because I would never take my own life. I wanted to die. I saw 3 or 4 different therapists. I just was like, when I finally got that recommendation from Spirit and I realized I could let it all go because it wasn't my fault.
Yes.
And I'm not crazy. And it was such a freeing thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what catapulted me into the paranormal and into learning about, my animal communication masterclass, furthering all of my abilities, learning how to communicate better, all of these things. And it has just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed, meeting all of you amazing people. I mean, it was how that catapulted. It was amazing. And I mean, you guys don't even know the half of what's going on right now between me and Michelle.
Right? Secrets.
Right? Yep. Yeah. So, and this was when I really, really, really started was probably latter of 2019 into 2020, which was a perfect time for it because that gave me more time to focus on everything and to meet more people because we were online more. And everything just kind of fell together. So Michelle, now I'm on YouTube all the time. So, yes, exactly, Jennifer. It's awful. I agree. Oh, Jennifer. Awesome. So, now I'm getting all these recommendations and when you started to tell about your near-death experience, I started watching your channel. It was recommended to me. I started watching. And so I remember thinking, damn, we have so much in common with how we got to where we are and what happened to us and all that stuff. I need to talk to her.
Yes.
And so I left a comment telling you I really wanted to talk to you, and you weren't tech at all. So it took you months before you even saw the comment.
At all, because I was still learning like everything about YouTube. Like I barely had learned how to do the lives
Yep.
or no, I mean, I hadn't even done a live at that point.
No.
No, I was like so new at YouTube, and I mean it was just horrible. I knew nothing. So yeah, it was like I one day, months later, I come across her text, and I still do that sometimes. So I still have not perfected it at all.
Yep.
But that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I forget how we exchanged numbers, but we talked for like 4 hours the first time we talked on the phone.
We did.
Yep. And that's before you really started doing readings and stuff at that point, right?
It was, yes. Mm-hmm.
I think I was one of your first outside of your family.
Yes. Yes.
If not the first.
Yeah. I had done readings, a few of them for, like some local friends, some family, but that was the extent of it. I wasn't doing readings like, just it was more of people I personally knew, of course. Mm-hmm. It wasn't anything I was promoting, especially because of where I lived and the belief systems that surrounded me. Because it's just not, being a psychic medium in the Bible Belt is not, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Because, there's a lot of things that are misunderstood. People that some people, I'm not going to say everyone, of course, but some people live in fear of the unknown.
Right.
Because they live in the fear of the unknown instead of, exploring. Sometimes they're afraid to explore because they're taught a certain belief system. They're afraid to step outside of that and just research. But I'm a person that, when something happens to me, I like to find out why. I am that researcher.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but anyways,
Yeah. Yeah. And so we became friends pretty quickly because I said I always wanted to do a past life regression. And you said, well, I can do a past life reading for you. And then you did. And then we just became friends. And then it just, next thing you know, I'm down in Kentucky and whatnot. And and then her guides come to me, my guides go to her, and we're constantly having the same thoughts and stuff. And it's just amazing. It's just how going from the 3D to the 5D and knowing what that means, and just it's amazing to be with the people that I'm with, and I'm meeting more people, and now it's almost like we outnumber those that don't believe.
Yes. Yeah, because God is beautiful. God is love. And and it's funny because people will look at me and they'll make comments and they'll say, "Oh, you're crazy, you need help." Or they'll say, I don't care. I don't allow people to rent space in my head anymore. I learned to totally block that out and just laugh about it because I know spiritually where I am. I know spiritually when I had the near death out of body experience where I went, and I was in the love of God. I was in the love of God. So no matter what anyone else wants to throw towards me, I don't even let it, I've learned to block it. I've learned that it doesn't affect me anymore. Right. And that's very beautiful because knowing that, being able to accept myself, not just physically, but in every way possible, especially spiritually, accept that, you know what, I was born this way. And then this happened and it kind of thrusted me into more unknown to explore. That was beautiful. That is of God. And I use my gifts for God. And, so when people come towards me and say, "Oh, that's of the devil." Okay. If that's what you want to think and you want to live in fear, you're allowed to do that. But that's not how I'm going to live in happiness.
Right. And that's the thing, I keep hearing, by the fear of God, by the fear of God. I feel sorry, and I pray for people that are living in fear of God, because it is not something to be fearful of. And that's sad. And I just saw somebody post, a new person that posted yesterday or the day before, I am not a witch just because I do blah, 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 blah. I am not a witch. And I thought, wow. And then people are commenting, and somebody commented, no, you're not a witch because witches don't believe in God. How ill-informed are you? This is why the Salem witch trials started, because people are ill-informed. A coven is merely women that are helping to support each other. A witch is somebody that talks to animals and loves God and the animals and freaking makes their own tea or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a witch. And I'm proud to be a witch.
It's like, you know what? I love natural teas, and I have since I was young. I love rosemary tea. I used to make rosemary tea that my mom used to have rosemary. And I never knew why I was drawn to it, but I would make it, keep it in hot water and drink it. I loved it, and I did not know that that's considered being a witch, It's like because of the things that we are taught that are fear-based, this witch that has the long nose and the wart and all this stuff. It's ridiculous. And it's just like the pentagram. So how I was taught growing up, oh, that's satanic. That is satanic. Right. That's a horrible symbol. But here's the thing. Remember, I'm a researcher. I love to research. So if you actually take the time to research and go far back to where the pentacle came from, that was actually the first symbol of Christianity. Yeah. That was the first symbol of Christianity.
Yeah.
But along the line, on down the years, someone switched things and adulterated things and made something that was beautiful into something fearful.
Right. Right. Fear is where they want to keep us. The fifth dimension is really, it's a way of thinking. I was watching a video from Aaron Doherty the other day, and he said 5 things you have to let go of to be in the fifth dimension. And I've already let go of all of them. One of them is watching the news. One of them is fear. One of them is negativity. All of these things. I've already done that. I live in my own, because none of that matters. It can't touch me.
No, that's right.
More of us that realize that it's all just sensationalism created to control us, yes, the quicker we're going to be happier. Yes. So it's just, it's a mindset. It is a mindset. I want everybody to know. And I'm already there.
Me too. And you feel more free than I ever have in my life.
I can't say that I don't dip down into the 3D sometimes, and then I have to be like, no, that doesn't matter. That can't hurt you. I did have this lady, because I've been now back to teaching my crystal grid classes and whatnot. And I had this lady actually comment on the event, those crystals are evil. They're satanic. They're blah, blah, blah. And I responded back and I said, but they're made by God and they're beautiful. How can they be so evil if they're made by your God?
Exactly.
Tell me, please, how a rock made by God or a plant made by God can be evil.
Exactly.
And when people say, the Bible says you're not allowed to talk to the dead. Okay. Have you lost anybody? Has anybody in your family died? Yes. Do you go to the cemetery to visit them? Yes. Do you talk to them? Yes. You're talking to the dead, you idiot.
Yep, absolutely.
Like you said, stop labeling people. Stop labeling people.
Same thing with spells. Spells. Okay. So everything we speak is a spell. Everything, because of the law of attraction. The law of attraction is very real. It's just as real as the law of gravity. It's just one of the laws. It's there and it is always.
How many times did I say, I created my own spell? I wanted Friday off. And I that Friday off. It just wasn't in the way I wanted.
Yeah. So,
but I created that spell.
Yeah. So everything we speak is a spell. So it doesn't matter. The universe, the universal laws that God created, doesn't care if you say, oh, now this is not a spell. I'm just speaking it.
Right.
That's what a spell is. It even says in many different Bibles, what we speak, we bring into existence. That is a spell.
Mm-hmm.
That is a spell. So, yeah, there's no getting out of it. But
No.
it's just how a lot of people have been taught so fear-based, as you said, in the name of control.
Yeah.
It just floors me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Drew and Jennifer and Marcia. Exactly. I mean, this just, you can speak your world into being. You can be who you want to be. You just have to do it. It's just a matter of doing it. And I've always said all along, fear is the only thing that stands in my way. And fear is the outside world. It's always fear. It's always, you can't do that. You can't do that. Yes, I can. And I'm going to. So it is, it's very powerful when you finally feel it for the first time. And then you realize, and then you can go back to that. So once you feel, like when I teach people how to communicate with their animals, whether they're past or alive, once you feel it and do it for the first time, and then you can get back to it, you can recreate it. And it's the same way with the fifth dimension. Once you get there and you feel the freedom and you feel the joy and you feel the light, it's so much easier the next time if you slip to get back there again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
And it was, everything will be provided. Once you stop worrying about it, it will be provided. It's scary. It can be so scary.
That is so true. It's like once I started looking back over my life, and it was like every huge point in my life when I was going through some huge mountain or some huge, struggle or situation, and I was always provided for.
Mm-hmm.
There was always this common theme. I was always provided for because I always trusted and had faith.
Yep.
That's one of the huge keys right there.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome, Marcia. Yes, I would say, so for me, my cancer was a course correction. And I've said this before. I do have another, I've done this with Michelle, and I do have another video on my channel talking about my cancer. My cancer was a course correction. I wasn't listening to what my soul purpose is. I didn't know what it was. So, I wasn't listening. When I got that wake up call at 40 and still wasn't listening, 2 years later, God was like, nope, we're going to make you listen now. You weren't listening. We tried. We gave you 2 years. Now you're going to listen.
Right.
Yep. So it was very much a course correction for me. I was never going to die as long as I accepted the course correction and my soul purpose. And I did very quickly. I did. And so that was definitely, a huge nudge in the right direction.
I love
What's funny? When I start to stray, when I start to go to the 3D, and like when I started at the tavern, I started having, or when I was with Network of Executive Women and I got back into all of the stressful crap, and then into the tavern, I started to have ailments. So I got the squamous cell carcinoma on my ankle. I had this issue with my thyroid. I have those health issues. Spirit or God brings in health issues for me when I start to slip from my soul purpose and slip back down. And this year, as soon as I quit the tavern and started focusing back on what I'm supposed to be doing here, I've been fine. So it's definitely a thing for me. That is my thing from Spirit, is if you start to slip, we're going to put you right back into, some kind of a health issue to wake you up. So I've definitely found that for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see if does anyone have any questions for Stephanie? I would love to see questions that anyone would have.
Beth had 2 strokes when she turned 50.
Oh, Beth. Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, love your heart.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I saw Jennifer say that she wished she could had the ability to speak to spirit. You do. It's just figuring out how to get there. And I'm finally Michelle's going to make me put psychic medium on
yeah.
information.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything on my part. Only what you want to say right now.
I'm starting to actually be able to. I started this in September when I was in Asheville with the witches, but I can close my eyes and see visions from spirit. And they're coming more and more. Sometimes I have to concentrate a lot harder than others. And we do have some exciting things coming up.
Yes.
I do have a regular investigation next Monday. So I've kind of put it out there on social media that I have 3 more videos in the can. And I have one, we've been asked to come back to a place that we already investigated. There's some crazy stuff going on. But there might be some downtime for Get Spooky. Not that we're not doing a lot on the inside that you can't see, because the things we're working on right now are very sensitive and who knows how long it'll be before we can actually publicize anything on them.
Right.
I'm hoping it's sooner than later for the sakes of the people involved.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Let's just say there's such a bigger picture than we can reveal right now, but it's absolutely incredible, beautiful, and amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I learned something else too. Cisco, who came on the last reading night that we did, she reached out to us and she is going to have us on her channel on December 17th. And she had Katie, somebody on her channel. She does lives a lot. She might be live right now. And thanks, Jennifer. Good night. I was watching and she said Cisco told this Katie, I saw when in an interview of yours and they said something about proving ghosts and spirits exist. And Katie said to them, I know they exist. You prove to me that they don't.
Exactly.
And I love that. So that is my thing. It's like innocent until proven guilty. I know they exist. You prove to me. I'm not going to prove to you that they exist.
Right.
That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this. And my thing has said, I want to help as many spirits, past and alive, as I can. That's not proving that ghosts exist. That is helping spirits. That's not what we're doing here.
Yes.
We're doing way more than that.
Yes. Yeah.
Way more. Yep. Oh my gosh, Beth, I had no idea. I wasn't in control of where I was there, Beth, but I would have loved to have met you. Drew dreams and talks to spirit. Yeah, you're lucid dreaming then. I can definitely interact in my dreams and change the outcome now.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Sean. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Asheville was nice. I didn't really go into Asheville that much. We were kind of on the outskirts of it, and we spent time in Cherokee and Maggie Valley, Cherokee and Maggie Valley mostly. And we went to the Vortex. I forget the name of the Vortex now, in the mountains on the Blue Ridge Mountain Parkway. But yeah, I'm so excited for and if you guys haven't noticed, we've rebranded Michelle. She is no longer Cosmos and Spread, the Paranormal Experiencer, or Dream State Frequencies. She is Michelle Rogers. And I think we should show them really quick. We won't be able to hear each other, but I want to show them really quick your new brand if they haven't seen it.
Okay.
So hold on. And it is one of my photos. by the way.
Beautiful.
Duh. And so how this came about, before I completely take us off the screen, how this came about is Michelle and I both knew it at her guide to come to me, and I knew she was going to do this. And so I said it. She's like, oh my God. So I told her, I said, what do you use for like all of your backgrounds and stuff? You need to have a big banner for some stuff coming up. And she says, oh, I use Power Director. I can only use it in certain things and whatever. And I said, Michelle, you can always use my photography. Anything you want, you tell me, it's yours. Like, you don't have to get permission. And so she says, okay, let me go to Spirit and ask what I should ask for. And so then she came back, and I forget, you said, Spirit said, do whatever I want. And you said, my first choice is did you say my first choice was a dragonfly and your second choice was a butterfly?
Yes.
And I knew her colors were teal. So I'm going to take us off the screen so you can see her new brand. And that is one of the first dragonfly pictures I ever took.
I love it. Like, I will cherish this photo forever.
And that's exactly what I had in my head for what I wanted you to go with. So when you said anything I want and a dragonfly was your first choice, I was like, I know exactly. That's exactly what.
It was immediate, wasn't it? It was immediate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So, does anyone have any more questions? Thank you, Mary T. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions or something that you would like to add? Something that maybe you've went through? Some type of illness that brought you into an awakening type process. And anyone who is watching, if you have experienced some kind of illness that has brought you into an awakening, you've experienced NDEs or OBEs or pre-birth memories, anything of the sort, and you would like to be on my show, please know that you can email me. It is at themichellebrogers@gmail.com. Or you can also still get me at the email. That's not changing, cosmosandspread@gmail.com. My email will be on the About section of this page or in the description. But you can contact me there, and we'll go from there. And as always, I always have to ask Spirit if it's going to be something that's divinely guided, because if it's not, then I just can't do it. And I apologize ahead of time, but there has to be a beautiful connection between Spirit and I and the person that I am going to be interviewing. Okay. So just, please keep that in mind.
Yep. Yeah. So Beth and Marsha already does email you. My mental reset for illness. You know what, Drew? For me, a lot of it is just being outside, leaning against a tree, taking a walk. Nature is really my go-to for a reset. When things get really bad, I will just go out and take a walk, or, with my dog or whatever, play with my dog or go see a horse or whatever. It's definitely animals and nature for me.
Sort of like grounding.
Yeah. Yes. Like grounding. Yep. Yeah. Cemeteries are good because they're beautiful. I agree. Yeah. Definitely nature. It's very grounding. If you can take your shoes off, depending on the, the weather and whatnot. But trees are very grounding. So trees are a really good one. If you don't have an animal that you can, get to, lean against a tree, sit against a tree.
Absolutely. And go ahead.
No, I said hug a tree.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's a situation where you live somewhere and it's really cold, or you don't have access to nature or trees nearby. Something that I also I've learned to do is have a lot of vines and trees with inside my home, at least in one space, because they do help bring in more energy inside the home as well. Even having a plant or two can make a huge difference in the energy of a space. So
Plus
definitely.
plus they clean the oxygen. They promote more oxygen and clean the air in your house as well.
They do. And you can literally, I've done it many times. I had a palm tree in Kentucky in my office for the law of attraction to move to Florida, which happened, right? And I also had sand that it was in a huge pot, and I would stick my feet. The sand was actually from Florida. And so I would stick my
Uh-oh. Michelle is actually not at her house right now, so I'm guessing
sorry,
there she is.
sorry, my son was trying to call, and I'm on the phone
Oh,
doing this. So sorry, guys. But I was manifesting Florida at that time, and so I had sand in this huge pot that I had this huge palm tree. Well, I say huge, but it was about 7 feet tall, almost to the ceiling. In my office, and I would take my shoes off and I would stick my feet on the sand, and I would take my hands and I would put around the stalk of the palm tree, and I could feel the energy so strongly. So, yes, having plants indoors definitely can help.
I don't know why I'm so tired today, guys. There's something going on with I I did a lot of meditating and connecting with a spirit last night. Uh, Marsha. By the way, I'm jealous of some of your crystals that you put on. Has Wayne busy making her meditation spaces inside and out. Beth can't have plants because her other half kills them. uh,
Yeah, and guys, just so you know, upcoming, I will be interviewing Marsha. Marsha has some amazing news about some abilities she was born with that she has been working on developing. And so that's going to be this upcoming month. So we're very excited to have Marsha on. She's finally gained that courage to step out and reveal, which is awesome because it's really helping others see that, hey, we don't have to live in fear because we all have these abilities within us. And as Stephanie said, it's just learning how to tap into those abilities. And so, it's really awesome how people are gaining the strength or the encouragement to step out and say, you know what, this is me, and I'm happy being me. And no, everyone may not accept me, and that's okay because I accept myself, and myself is beautiful.
that's right.
That is amazing. So we're very proud of you, Marcia. Can't wait. Excited to do your interview, sweetheart.
Yes. Mary, that is awesome. I do have some of my plants are from people that have passed as well. For some over 40 years. That's awesome. And Mary, I don't know if you put any of your camera photos on from Costa Rica yet, or I'm sorry, was it Costa Rica. I'm waiting to see those. Um, you're welcome, Drew. Beth wants to know how to further develop her skills as well. It's different. We do it in different ways. I think meditation is key.
Yes.
I took some free courses to try to figure out and it was all based on meditation and to figure out what my strengths were. And they have changed over time. They weren't what I thought they were, and they've changed over time. So I think finding the right meditations or classes, but all the classes you can do it for free. You don't have to pay. There's some out there that are ridiculous, but all of them really use a lot of meditation
Yeah.
don't they, Michelle?
They do. And that's what I learned, that the main thing for me was meditation, staying present in the moment, staying grounded, being very creative. Because when we're being very creative, being, really paying attention to detail, that's keeping us present in the moment, right? And when we do that during that time, that's really keeping us grounded as well. And, a lot of people feel like, grounding is just, you know, one or two things. Meditation is just one or two things or one or two ways, but that's not true. It can be working out at the gym. It can be so many different ways. But I tell you what, you can do if you would like to reach out to us. Um, I I don't have a problem at all speaking with you privately
Yep.
and finding out exactly what things you're experiencing and seeing if there's certain techniques or things that I have tried. That's kind of my extent of it as far as helping. If it's something that I've experienced myself, I can kind of give you clues there. We can go from there. But
It's a lot of visual too. Mary, I followed all the ones you put on Facebook. I'm waiting for your camera ones. And I wish I had been there. Um, it's a lot of visuals. I know that is what helps is yeah. But it's all within. So I just started finding meditations to help open my third eye, meditations to meet my spirit guide, meditations for this. There's a meditation for everything. And so trying those, and then they do work.
yeah.
They really do work.
And something I would like to say on here. Okay, so you're saying ADHD. Well, I have ADD, and I know they're a little extreme opposites, but there are some things that are the same, which is attention deficit. So I get distracted very easily. That's why a lot of times I keep my phone on silent and I don't answer people back, especially if I'm in the middle of something, because when I start it, my mind, if as long as I'm not interrupted, I'm doing it. I'm fine. But then as soon as, there's some kind of a phone rings or dings with a text or whatever, my mind is like, boom, it's gone. My thought's gone, right?
Yeah.
So, some things that I have noticed that helps me when I need to meditate. Let's say someone, say I've already had my morning coffee. Yes, that's an addiction for me. I love my morning coffee, but I also know how much coffee I can have before trying to meditate, right? Because of caffeine. So let's say someone contacts me on emergency and says, hey, I need an emergency reading right now. And I've already had, 2 cups of coffee and my mind is just bouncing off the walls, right? So, eating carbs, and I do recommend eating healthy carbs. You can eat green beans, broccoli, any kind of carbs, okay? But wait about 30 minutes, get really full, okay? Get really full. This is what I do, and it works. And I have to give it about 30 minutes and allow that to start working in my system. And then when I get to the point, I feel like, you know what? I feel like I could lay down and almost take a nap, but not quite. I know it's time to meditate
Yep.
because that will put your brain in the theta state. Okay. Now the theta state is it. Please research this and research it very well. Okay. But the theta state, that's right before you drift off to sleep and right as you're coming out of sleep. So about 15 minutes prior, about 15 minutes after, okay, as you're waking up. Um, that's the best time to get information, to tap into those Akashic records for yourself or for someone else, as long as you're doing it with very loving, good intention to help yourself for guidance or to help someone else for guidance. And as long as you have been given permission, there are rules. You don't want to just tap into someone else's energy. We don't do that. But yes, that's one huge thing that really helps me is carbs.
Yeah.
Honestly, carbs.
The
Yeah.
other thing for me too is I'm very picky about my meditations, and I'm when I first started, it had to be guided, Beth. And so, but I have to like the voice. and I have to like the cadence and I have to like the music. So I would go in and find, different meditations. I try to do mine at night before I'm going to bed because it's not as bad anymore. But when I was working and stuff and trying to learn how to meditate, I'm bouncing off the walls all day. So I'd have to do it at night and very much focusing on your breathing. But that's why I've found some, and that's why I use them in my meditations that I've published, is how to really get you completely neutral in your body to where you're so focused on what the person's guiding you to do that by the time you start to really get into the meditation, you don't even know the outside world exists anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say do it when you definitely, if you can, right before you go to bed. I do mine in bed. I started with guided for sure, and now I can do my own. But trying to like meet your spirit guide or open your third eye or specific things, there's lots of guided ones, and that'll really help you. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Beth. Thank you. Yeah. So I would definitely, it's, and don't try to do, a half hour right away. Try it for 10 or 15 minutes if you can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if you fall asleep, it worked.
Right. Right.
You might be actually you're probably still listening to you're being told to do, and you're not conscious of it at that point. Because I don't know how many times I'd wake up 3 hours later and be like, oh man, I only remember up until this. I got to start over.
Yeah, see, exactly. So like when I'm meditating for readings, I either have to tell my husband that, honey, if he's going to be here, honey, please make sure if you hear me snoring, I'm meditating for a reading, wake me up. And I have to set my alarm just in case. But the more you practice it, like Stephanie said, we each have our own way. And once you figure out your way, where it's like all of a sudden you tap into it, it may not be the exact same way that Stephanie and I do.
Right.
But once you figure it out, from then on, it's just going to keep flourishing and blossoming, and it's just going to be totally incredible. And you will look back to when you were like, wow, I remember when I tried to figure it out and I felt like I was getting nowhere. And now look.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be patient.
Yeah. I don't remember, Beth, if that was me or not. I don't remember. But speaking of a box, I just had a guy, I was doing readings in Lawrenceburg on Saturday, and I had this guy say, have you ever done the cube method? And I'm like, no, I've not heard of it. And he had this where you had to envision the desert and then the sky, and then you had a cube, and you had to tell him, where is the cube? And like, how big is it? And all this stuff. And he goes through this whole thing, asks you all these questions, and you give him answers, and you have to be creative. And then he goes back through and tells you what it all means. It was pretty interesting. And I was, of course, way imaginative and creative. And he was like, it's made out of Jello. I'm like, that's what Spirit told me it was made out of, Jello. Oh. He didn't know where to go with that. Bye, Drew.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Mary. I don't think it was me, but I like that one. Yeah, it was funny. And he just was like, wow, now I got to decide how to interpret it.
Thank you. Much love to you.
Beth, I do have 2 meditations on my channel. If you want to go look for them, just search meditation on my channel. There's 2 of them. One takes you up a mountain, and the other one takes you for a walk on a beach and then out a pier.
And they're absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it says they're 45 minutes, but the guided part is 30. But if you did even the first 15 minutes of it, it's like 15 minutes of getting you neutral, and then 15 minutes of taking you up the mountain or out on the beach to the pier. And then the last 15 minutes is just music. But Michelle has all kinds of meditation music and different things on hers as well.
and also I have a lot more coming out. It's just this month I am focusing on combining my new brand. So taking all three channels and combining them into this one. So that's requiring me to download from the other channels and re-upload to this one, which is very time consuming.
Yeah.
So this month the time isn't there to focus on making new videos. But just be patient. They are coming in the following month. So
For sure. And
yeah.
tomorrow I get real internet. What? We finally manifested it. I will go from 0.5 megabytes upload and 4 megabytes download to 600 megabytes download. I don't know what the upload is, but Lord, I'm so excited.
I'm so happy for you. You've waited for so long.
Oh, seriously. I'm going to be for the first time in my life without a landline.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 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 Because they don't exist anymore. Like with this new service, you can have a home phone, but it's not a landline. So if the internet goes out, it goes out. So if you've got Wi-Fi calling, you don't need to pay for that other stuff.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Yep.
Very nice.
So
Okay.
excited. Yeah, we cannot wait. I cannot wait to see Marsha's interview. Beth, you need to get with Michelle.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I am
Yes. Yes.
so grateful for all of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This has just been absolutely incredible, beautiful. And, I'm not sure if you know or not, but this is a redo with added material of some updates from the. Stephanie was my very first interview when I was on the Paranormal Experiencer. However, we looked back, and as I said, I'm downloading from the other channels and re-uploading them, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, my husband and I are just laughing so hard because my face is like uh, and Stephanie's on the other end like trying to just die laughing, and trying to hold it back, and you can obviously tell because I'm like,
Yeah.
and so it was like the very first time I went live, my internet was horrible, and I kept freezing, and it was really funny, but it was not the material or how I wanted it to look. So
Right.
we decided to redo this, and since it had been over 2 years, just so Stephanie could update some things.
Was it that long?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was about 2 years. Yeah,
Wow. That's insane.
yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun, that's for sure.
It does. It really does.
Mhm.
But I'm really happy with this one that we did tonight, Stephanie, because internet worked. Other than when my son tried to call, internet
Yes.
worked. So,
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
so I guess I have asked you everything I needed. I feel like I need to ask you. Does anyone else have any questions for Stephanie?
And you never know what Spirit's going to ask us to do next.
Right.
Because for our readings and stuff, I mean, I'm sure there's something we haven't done yet.
Right. Exactly.
And Michelle's working on getting her spell done as well.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I have had I'll just say, my dad. Hey, Dan, welcome. My dad, I got some news that he had been unresponsive. So we had to come back to Kentucky. Hence the curtains. These are my little stepmommies. Aren't they beautiful? I'm in Kentucky right now. But we're back here for just a tad, and he is recovering and he is doing well, and we're supposed to pick him up tomorrow, and he may be going to therapy, like a rehab center for a few weeks. So if so, my husband and I will be staying here with my little mama, so she's not alone, and help her until my dad fully recovers, but we won't know until tomorrow. So, but I still have my a little bit of equipment with me, my phone and my laptop. So, and I have my cards. So I'm still going to be here with you guys. Just different place.
Right. That's
Thank
right. Yep. Yep. No, Alyssa, not Spectrum. It's still Cincinnati Bell / Alta. So just their fiber instead of their freaking dial up.
you. Right.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, I don't think anybody has any questions. I think I might have covered it all.
Yeah, you did. You did phenomenal, Stephanie. And Stephanie, I am so truly grateful that you agreed to redo this again with me. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing your beautiful, lovely story. Um, Thank you, everyone, for joining. Of course, as always, we truly cherish each and every one of you. You guys really mean so much to us in our lives because without you, it would not be us, as a team, because we look at it as teamwork, right? Because every comment, every like, every subscription as a team, you guys are helping us as a team to get out around the world to help many other people for free so that we can help people to hear information like this that may feel like they're alone. Some people literally feel like they are going crazy, with the awakening process. Now, I have to make my disclaimer since I said that. Please read my disclaimer down below in the description. I am not a psychologist. I am not licensed to diagnose nor treat. Please seek professional help if you feel that you need to do so. Now, that aside, a lot of people, it's scary. It can be scary waking up. And so it's really nice for us to be able to get on here. And the more likes and comments and all that you guys do, that puts us in the algorithm on YouTube so much more to where it kind of pushes the channel out to be seen in new places around the world to help people. So it's a really beautiful thing. So it's not just me and Stephanie up here. It's all of us. It's all of us.
Lissa, I had done an interview with Michelle 2 years ago about my cancer and how it led to my awakening. Almost dying led to my awakening. And so she just wanted me to redo it. So it was literally, go back and watch, but it was literally me talking about my life and then how cancer led me to my awakening for real.
Beth, I understand that. I do that too. So I feel like I will be able to assist you somewhat. At least give you some tips. Like I said, we're going to be different. There's going to be things that I do that may not work for you, and that's perfectly fine. But there might be at least something that I can do to help you, maybe just a little tiny baby step.
Exactly. Get you on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Fun.
And just remember, it's all a state of mind. It's all a state of mind. Let go of the fear mongering. Just stop watching the news. It's not even worth it. And I have a TV. I may watch a football game on it, but since our quarterback's out, I probably won't even watch that anymore. And I don't even know if it works. It's all about supporting everybody and everybody's supporting us. And it's all a state of mind.
Yeah. And here's what I have to say about the news. If you're connected to spirit and you learn to open yourself to spirit and the Holy Divine, you don't need the news, because if there's something you need to know, spirit will tell you.
Right.
You don't need the news.
Right.
You don't even need it. Honestly, anytime there's something that I truly need to be warned about, I'm told. So there's no need. There just, because there's so much of it that is just negative. It's just, that's all they feed on people's fear.
Yeah.
So about TV ratings.
Right.
And I learned that doing YouTube. It's about ratings and seeing how other people bring, you can even go on tarot readings and research people who put fear-based sentences
Yep.
in their, like their title, like, oh my gosh, this person, said this. And now I do that at some times, if that's what spirit's showing me.
Right.
There are some people that do it all the time to feed on that fear. Okay. I try to feed on the fear. It's just, if spirit's showing me this person's going to be toxic and it's a warning, then I have to put it. But there's some people who feed with the title for clickbait on your fear. So the news does the same thing. Okay. So if you just learn how to get yourself in alignment, you don't even need it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can
Yeah,
stay.
Marsha, I love my football too, but it's going to be really hard now without a quarterback to get excited. I'm devastated a little bit. Just a little. Just a
Yeah.
little. Oh, well. There's always next year.
Right. Right.
So it looks like most of us on here don't watch TV, which is awesome. YouTube is all I need. I can't believe people pay $200 a month for TV. Oh
Oh,
my
I know. Crazy. It is crazy. To me,
I
it's
have
crazy.
I have hillbilly antennas on top of my house, and I am lucky if I do get the regular local channels, maybe, and I don't even care.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Heck yeah. That's
Oh,
true. That's true, Alyssa. Absolutely. The news is too much stress for empaths. Yes, it is. Yeah.
yes, for sure.
Okay, guys. Well, Stephanie, do you feel like it's time to wrap this up?
I do.
Okay. Then I just want to tell you, each and every one of you, again, how much dearly loved and appreciated that each of you are. And I hope to see you again soon in the next few days. And please have a beautiful holiday. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, have an absolutely amazing time. Hopefully, you can have it with your close loved ones, beautiful friends or family, those who are encouraging to you in your lives. And if not, please know that we are with you in our hearts to yours, sending you much love, peace, happiness, and all that is beautiful. So much love to each of you.
Exactly. Good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.